Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is once again directed by Christopher McQuarrie. It is the 8th installment in the Mission Impossible franchise. Is it the final one? You'll have to see the film to find out. In this film, Ethan Hunt and the IMF team continue their search for the terrifying AI known as the Entity. Joined by new allies and armed with the means to shut the Entity down for good, Hunt is in a race against time to prevent the world as we know it from changing forever. Last year into this year, I began watching all the Mission Impossible movies. Some of them I had seen, some of them I hadn't, and I've come to realise the Mission Impossible franchise is my favourite franchise. Are all of the movies masterpieces? No. But more than any other franchise, the Mission Impossible franchise is incredibly consistent. I've given the last 4 films in the franchise my second highest rating, and even the one film in the franchise that isn't so good still has really entertaining parts. So I went into Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning with incredibly high hopes. This was my most anticipated film of the summer. Firstly, let's talk about the man himself, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is one of my favourite actors, if not my favourite actor. I love his action movies, I love his dramatic roles, and I just love how much he cares about film. In Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, he gives his most vulnerable performance as Ethan Hunt. You really feel his drive, and you really feel that he feels what is at stake here. So because of that, I was consistently emotionally engaged with Ethan. I knew what he was feeling the whole time, and I just felt the weight of this mission on him constantly. Of course, Tom Cruise is the star of the show, but the supporting cast are all fantastic. Hayley, Atwell, Simon Pegg, Klementieff, they all bring a lot to this ensemble, and at this point they feel more like a family than a team. In terms of the tone here, it's easily the most somber of the franchise. As I kind of mentioned in terms of the character of Ethan, there is this weight to the movie, and for me that tone worked really well. It pulled me in emotionally. At this point, 8 films in, it's hard to do something new with the franchise, so I really respect that they went for something different tonally. With Mission Impossible, although it's called Mission Impossible, often you know the mission is eventually going to be possible. It's not if they're going to complete the mission, it's how they're going to complete the mission that keeps you on the edge of your seat. But I have to say, with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, it really can feel at times like the mission is impossible. The characters are often in situations where I'm like, I don't know how they're going to get themselves out of this. This movie does have a the world is going to end type plot. In most movies you don't believe that, but here I really did. I felt the stakes. So let's move on to the action sequences. Christopher McQuarrie has proven himself to be an incredible director of action, and it's no different here. I think he shoots some amazing hand-to-hand combat sequences, which we don't always get in Mission Impossible. But there are 2 big action set pieces in this movie. One takes place in a submarine, and one takes place on a biplane. Now, if you've seen the trailers, you've seen a bit of both of these stunts advertised, but oh my god, in the movie, they are quite literally breathtaking. And I genuinely mean that. There were moments where I was holding my breath. The film took my breath away in these sequences. They were filled with so much tension, and obviously it helps that it's Tom Cruise doing these things. Tom, you are a fucking madman. Please never change. So there are some absolutely brilliant things in this movie, but I do have some issues with it. The big issue with The Final Reckoning is its over-reliance on exposition. Now, every Mission Impossible movie has exposition, but The Final Reckoning really goes far with the exposition. This is especially apparent in the first half of the movie. The exposition can come off as forced, and in these exposition scenes, they're throwing so much information at you so quickly, it's really hard to process all of it. So I was sitting there thinking, wait, slow down, slow down. And there are moments where that can affect the emotional impact of a scene, because instead of following the emotional through line that the scene is trying to get across, you're instead just trying to process the information you've been given. Also, the villain here, Gabriel, who was the villain in Dead Reckoning, I found him to be overly cartoonish, which I didn't find in the last movie, but here he is really a mustache twirling villain. And it also doesn't help that the film doesn't really give him any development. In Dead Reckoning, he was this very mysterious character, and that worked for that movie. But if you're going to bring him back, you need to do more with him, and they just didn't. Overall, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning does not match up to the last few installments in the franchise. In terms of my ranking of the franchise, I do think it is on the lower end. That being said, this is still a really good movie. I think that's just a testament to how good this franchise is, that this is on the lower end. I do think it's going to be divisive, but I can only speak for me personally, and I was really satisfied with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie again. I'm going to give Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning a B+. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. You guys are awesome. Blu-ray Billy, logging off.